Welcome back to our continuing discussion of unemployment. So we've talked about now how to calculate unemployment rate. There are various categories, ways that we categorize people who are unemployed or types of unemployment. With this, the question is unemployment always bad? Well, it may not be pleasant to be unemployed, but some unemployment is healthy for an economy or a person. For those who are in college, if you aren't working while you're in college and then you start looking for a job, by definition you're unemployed because you've been looking for a job within the past 4 weeks. It doesn't mean that you should automatically take the very first job they're offered, even if it's terrible. Some such time find the job is healthy for both you and for the economy. Three types of unemployment are frictional unemployment, structural unemployment, and cyclical unemployment. In terms, frictional, structural, cyclical, they're pretty good terms. There are times that some of the econ terms are a bit unique and not necessarily descriptive. Here, these are pretty descriptive. Frictional unemployment, there are frictions in the economy. When you start looking for your first job, you are automatically considered unemployed because it takes time to find the first job. Right? That's frictional unemployment. That's normal. If you leave a job and you look for a new job, that's frictional unemployment. Or if you're let go of a job and you're looking for a new job, that's frictional. Now, to be considered frictionally unemployed, the unemployment would have to be temporary. And the worker has skills. They have skills that are useful in the job force. So we say marketable skills. So this is just a case where, there's going to be times where you're just not quite at the right job and you leave and you find the right job. When you initially enter the labor force, or those who are seasonally unemployed would be considered frictionally unemployed as well. One issue, as you move up the corporate ladder, for those who are going in corporations, or not even that often if you get a higher education level, if those who go into academia know, if you get a doctorate and you're looking at universities for jobs, right, there aren't that many people who get new doctorates in any given field each year, but then there aren't that many openings either, so the job search sometimes is more frictional, either as you move up the corporate ladder or, if you get higher education levels. Said frictional unemployment is it's not as bad as it used to be, often because it's easier to search for jobs, right? With online search methods, 20 years ago it was a lot more difficult, a lot more time consuming to search for jobs. Newer search methods help decrease frictional unemployment. And this is the one that's not always thought of as terrible. Now, structural unemployment, this is the spot you don't want to be in, because if you're unemployed because of a structural issue, it means you have skills that aren't relevant anymore. They're no longer in demand. So if you are in some type of construction that's not used as often, or you're in an industry where jobs keep getting outsourced, well, you could be said you're structurally unemployed if you lose your job, because you have skills, but the skills aren't needed in the job market. So there's a mismatch, and that's, there's a structural issue at play here. And these unemployed workers could often be the most politically vocal, perhaps lobbying against free trade agreements because they're trying to ensure that the skill set that they have means they can get a job. Cyclical unemployment refers to the cycles in the economy. So the economy goes through recessions, goes through expansions. During a recession, the unemployment rate falls. During a recession, the unemployment rate rises. During an expansion, it falls. That's if you're unemployed because the economy is in a downturn, you expect to get your job back once the economy recovers. It would be said that you're cyclically unemployed. Now, when economists would talk about full employment or the zero unemployment rate or the natural rate of unemployment, they'd hope to limit unemployment to structural and frictional unemployment. The reason is to smooth the cycles out of the economy. There will always be frictional unemployment, and you hope there's not much structural unemployment, but over time the economy changes, so some people will be structurally unemployed from time to time. It will happen. The cycles of the economy, you hope to, if those are smoothed out, that's considered full employment. So what level of employment would you expect if you had smoother cycles? Don't spend much time on unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance, you pay taxes on wages. It goes towards unemployment insurance. If a person loses his or her job, can receive a portion of the wages through this insurance. it doesn't really reduce the cost of unemployment. It spreads the costs around to the population. And the big controversy with unemployment insurance recently has been how long is too long, right? If you provided unemployment insurance forever, some people might wish to take it. Well, during the Great Recession, some people were able to get unemployment insurance for 99 weeks, which is much longer than the standard, which had been for most places, which was 26 weeks. It kept expanding and expanding as people were long-term unemployed. There's a debate among economists what's the right level of unemployment insurance to provide a little bit of a safety net, but to make sure you're not providing disincentive for somebody to go find their next job. Full employment, natural rate of unemployment, defined as the sum of frictional and structural. That's the goal that economists would have, is to try to smooth the cycles out of the economy. Difficult to figure out exactly where it is, and the full employment rate has changed over time, and here's a graph. You can find all sorts of graphs and different definitions of the full unemployment rate. But you can see that during the recessions we'll be a little bit above this rate. During the expansions you could actually be below that a little bit. And what is the natural rate of unemployment?